administrations.
The president's plan to put new pressure on our enemies.
And Democrats, many of them sitting stone-faced during the big speech. Why can't the left celebrate any wins for America? Our political panel on deck to debate that coming up next.
I call upon all of us to set aside our differences, to seek out common ground, and to summon the unity we need to deliver for the people, because Americans are dreamers too. And I will not stop until our veterans are properly taken care of. At least $1.5 trillion for the new infrastructure investment that our country so desperately needs. North Korea's reckless pursuit of nuclear missiles could very soon threaten our homeland. I will not repeat the mistakes of past administrations that got us into this very dangerous position. The motto is, "In God we trust." Our nation will forever be safe and strong and proud and mighty and free.
President Trump laying out his aggressive agenda for 2018, calling for unity in an inspirational first State of the Union.
Yeah, the president sending a stern message to rogue regimes around the world like North Korea, expressing confidence in his plan to defeat ISIS while ramping up the pressure on North Korea.
Todd Pyro joins us now with his plan to take out terror. Good morning, Todd.
Good morning, Jillian. Good morning, Rob. A number of emotional moments, but still a resounding message to the world that the time for American power is now. And in President Trump's crosshairs, North Korea. The president pressed for modernizing our nuclear arsenal and waging a campaign of maximum pressure on the rogue regime in the face of its threat on our homeland. The president then acknowledged the family of Otto Warmbier, the college student who died after suffering injuries while in North Korean captivity.
You are powerful witnesses to a menace that threatens our world, and your strength truly inspires us all. Thank you very much. Thank you. We pledge to honor Otto's memory with total American resolve.
President Trump then told the powerful story of a North Korean defector.
In 1996, Sung Ho was a starving boy in North Korea. One day he tried to steal coal from a railroad car to barter for a few scraps of food, which were very hard to get. In the process, he passed out on the train tracks, exhausted from hunger. He woke up as a train ran over his limbs. Today, he has a new leg. But Sung Ho, I understand you still keep those old crutches as a reminder of how far you've come. Your great sacrifice is an inspiration to us all.
And finally, the president also doubled down on his commitment to keeping ISIS and al-Qaeda terrorists in Guantanamo Bay. And just prior to the address, guys, President Trump signed an executive order to keep Gitmo open and asked General Mattis to re-examine our military detention policy. So not only a ton on the economy and a ton on the homeland, but a ton on foreign policy as well.
Absolutely, Todd. Thank you.
Big applause for Mattis there, too.
Yes.
Much deserved. Thank you so much, Todd. President Trump touting his successes in his first State of the Union and outlining an aggressive agenda with confidence. But as expected, the Democrats railed against the president in their response. Here now is former Deputy Assistant to President George W. Bush, Brad Blakeman, and liberal political commentator Wendy Osefo. They should look very familiar if you watched the show yesterday. We're back again after the big speech, guys, and we just want to start off with what you thought about it. Wendy, I'm going to start with you. A lot of people on the left say it wasn't bringing people together at all.
You know, and I would have to agree with that. And this was part of my comments yesterday, is it's all about this rhetoric of him saying that he wants to bring people together. But what do those policies say? So it sounded great. It sounded, you know, really fascinating. But at the end of the day, what is he going to do today? So as I was talking to people, the comment that I continue to express is, I really do not care what the president said yesterday, but what I care about is what the president does today. And that's how we have to look at it. What is he going to do now that he's delivered that riveting speech? How is he going to implement policy that reflects that?
Okay, Brad, what did you think of the speech?
Look, I give him an A. I thought he was a statesman. Compared to the Democrats, literally, they stood for nothing. It was shameful, and the Democrats should be very ashamed of themselves the way they comported themselves in the disrespect they showed the president. You know, Wendy said she'd like to see the president's words turned into action, and I'll remind her the president doesn't act alone. We need Democrats, and Democrats need to take the president's hand. He's willing to extend it in a spirit of bipartisanship for the nation. And if the Democrats don't do it, it's a tremendously missed opportunity.
Okay. Well, guys, you know, as we might have expected, the most partisan issue that we have right now is immigration. The biggest boo that at least I heard all night long was when he talked about ending chain migration, when he was discussing immigration in this country. Wendy, I want to start with you. Did last night's speech make it tougher to get that immigration deal, even though the president has now said he'll allow 1.8 million people to become citizens of this country?
I think it makes it tougher, and I think that that whole bipartisan language that they were talking about coming together in a bipartisan manner, it really puts it on the back burner, and I think that that's an issue. And just to Brad's point, I want to remind Brad that the Republicans have the House, the Republicans have the Senate, and the Republicans have the executive branch. So, yes, he needs help from the Democrats, but don't forget who is running our government right now. And let's not make this a Democrat issue as far as sitting on their hands. This is something that has been done for all of the State of the Unions, where whatever branch is in power usually does not clap for the president if he is in an opposing political party. So it's not a Democrat or Republican thing. This is just tradition here.
Well, Brad, putting 1.8 million on the table as a number is a fascinating move, and I think it shows that the president doesn't really care how many people we give amnesty to as long as he gets that wall. That wall is what he promised. He's going to make it happen. How can the Democrats turn this deal down if he even adds to that, maybe even more than 1.8 million?
Well, Democrats have to learn to love America more than they hate the president. They need to come to the table in good faith. Look, these are problems that exist in our country. They're not Republican problems. They're not Democratic problems. They're shared problems. So we have to come to a common solution on how to do it. There's no doubt that we have to solve immigration, but it's not just one thing. It's not just DACA, which Obama created out of whole cloth, that is unconstitutional and dumped it on the next president. It's talking about chain migration and lottery system, which is unfair, and also dealing with the Dreamers fairly and equitably. Look, this president is transactional. He's not an ideologue. He will make a deal if the deal is to be made, and Democrats should take him up on it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Finally, I guess, Wendy, over to you. It was a big 2017 for the president. Got off to a slow start, but then he really started moving there and got a lot of progress done. Do you see 2018 going as well as we go into the midterms?
I would hope it goes really well for him because, as you rightfully said, this is the midterms. Any president that has come in around the midterms, they often lose seats. And right now, being that he has the lowest approval rating in modern history, it's looking like the Republicans may lose more seats than we've seen in the past. So he needs to get this infrastructure bill really going, because that's something that can gain bipartisan support. But I just want to remind everyone that this country will run out of money a week from Thursday. That's still something that we have to address. And with that comes DACA. So how we deal with those two issues is going to really have important ramifications on how he moves forth for 2018.
Brad, what do you think about 2018? How's it looking?
Look, I think Americans vote with their pocketbooks. And when they walk into that voting booth, they're going to ask themselves, am I better off today than I was last year? Or the year before that, or the year before that. And I clearly think they're going to say Donald Trump delivered. I feel it in my checkbook. I feel it in my optimism. And at the end of the day, Donald Trump is going to get the credit for doing what he said he was going to do.
And I think everybody's got one's feeling it in their 401k right now. Guys, thanks so much for coming on this morning. We appreciate it. Twice, 2 mornings in a row. Good to see you both.
Thank you.
They're like, can I sleep in tomorrow?
Yeah, and you absolutely can.
Well, President Trump using his speech to honor patriotism and the men and women who have made the ultimate sacrifice.
We proudly stand for the national anthem.
Well, Democrats sitting this one out as well, with social media not letting them off the hook that easy. Carly Shimkus here with that story coming up. Hey, Carly.
Good morning.
To everyone still recovering in Texas, Florida, Louisiana, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands, everywhere, we are with you, we love you, and we always will pull through together, always.
Good morning. Welcome back. President Trump's State of the Union, the most tweeted about in history.
Well, that's appropriate, isn't it? Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines 24/7 here with the reaction. The most tweeting president gets the most tweets on the State of the Union.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is very appropriate.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, 4.5 million tweets were sent out about the State of the Union address last night. That is the most tweeted about State of the Union or joint session speech ever. Now, Republicans were pleased with the president's message of patriotism and a robust economy, but some Democrats, including Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, say that the president's speech did more to divide the country than unite it. And speaking of division, take a look at this divide on social media. Senator Lindsey Graham liked the speech. He says it was a strong speech emphasizing America is open for business and going on the offense when it comes to crime and terrorism. I'm very pleased President Trump is empowering our military and putting our enemies on notice. MSNBC's Joy Reid watched the exact same speech, but here's what she had to say. Church, family, police, military, the national anthem, Trump trying to call on all the tropes of 1950s era nationalism. So she didn't like the speech. Now, division aside, Ken Bone, remember him in his red sweater? He was watching the speech last night, and he talked about all the applause breaks. He says, had to do a bathroom break, caught back up to live TV in less than 3 minutes thanks to all the applause breaks. So although they were kind of annoying,
I forgot about him.
He found a little bit of a silver lining to the applause.
The debate guy, Ken Bone?
Yeah, the
Isn't that
debate
funny?
guy.
With the red sweater and the khakis,
That is
right?
funny.
He
Yeah.
still has a blue check mark next to his Twitter name.
Interesting.
So,
All
yeah,
right,
he's
you
still
go, Ken.
kicking.
So let's talk about when President Trump mentioned standing for the national anthem. This got a ton of reaction.
Yeah, it sure did. So he definitely had a message. He spoke directly to all the people who kneel during the national anthem, and Twitter revealing that this was the most tweeted about moment of the entire speech. Take a listen.
We proudly stand for the national anthem.
So there you have it. Not everybody stood up during that moment, and Alana on social media pointed that out, saying the President of the United States says that veterans are why we are proud to stand for the national anthem. Everyone stands and gives applause. Democrats remain seated and scowl. And then the ACLU talked about this as well. They use this moment as a way to encourage people to protest, saying we can hear the dog whistle from over here, hashtag take a knee. So the Super Bowl, a couple days away. We'll see what happens there.
Okay. All right. Let's go on. The best part of the whole thing is Pelosi's face.
Well, yeah, you saw Nancy Pelosi's face. So she, as expected, did not like the speech. She took to Twitter saying, tonight, President Trump presented a self-congratulatory speech without vision. He promised unity, but sowed division. America deserves a better State of the Union. Did you see her face? Camera panned to her a couple times, and a lot of people took notice. So let's take a look at some of these tweets. One says, the face of the past, not the future. Another tweet says, the look of his face is priceless. So there you have it.
It reminds me when you were out with like a group of people and you took off your girlfriend and she just looks at you like, you have no idea what's coming for you.
Personal story, Rob.
Yeah, it really does. See, to me, I felt like she was going to send the president to his room or something.
As soon as we get in the car, you're toast. That's the feeling that I got. All right. Thank you so much, Carly.
Stories later.
President Trump paying tribute to America's heroes.
Firefighters and police officers and border agents, medics and Marines. But above all else, they are Americans.
One brave man who nearly lost his life in the line of duty was in the crowd last night. He and the congressman who invited him join us live next.
But first, let's check in with Steve Doocy live in Washington to see what's coming up on Fox and Friends. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning to you, Jillian. Good morning to you, Rob. Coming up on Fox and Friends, live from the roof in a very chilly Washington, D.C. We've got great post-game reaction to last night's State of the Union address. Jason Chaffetz, former congressman from Utah, is going to be with us. Former Speaker of the House, the world-famous pundit Michelle Malkin, Dr. Bill Bennett,